Hello, and welcome to episode 100 of the
Woohoo!
Shegulls podcast, powered by Albion Obsessed, the one and only podcast dedicated to Brighton Hove Albion women's football team. That's right, we finally made it, and I have my three incredible colleagues with me, so we must say hello as we always do. I am joined today by Ben. Hello, Ben.
Hello, Duncan.
By Claire. Hello, Claire.
Hello, Duncan.
And by Abby. Hello, Abby.
Hello, Duncan.
Hooray! The streamers are out. Things have been popped. I think that could have been my ligaments, to be fair. Getting overexcited about 100 episodes. But yes, would you believe it? We have filmed episode 100, and this is the precursor. So if you're watching this right now, you may be thinking, oh, I'll ask a question. You won't be able to, because we recorded this beforehand. This is all pre-done. You know, we're experts now in video editing. We can record one day and broadcast the next. You know, we're up on the times. So yeah, I mean, episode 100, we've got a massive treat for you later on, which we're keeping very quiet. We're keeping it under our hat, but it's big. It's a big one. That's why I've called episode 100 the big one.
It is the big one.
We reeled in an absolute whopper of a fish for this episode. So keep listening. You have to listen to us for a little while longer. Don't skip ahead. There's a quiz. It'll be funny, I promise. And then eventually we will get to the person in question. So what I thought we'd do first of all, as it is episode 100, is just kind of go round the houses and just have a chat about the podcast in general, you know, what it's meant to us all, and cool things about it, maybe some frustrating things about it. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, let's go to. It was episode 1. I'm going to take people all the way back to episode 1. Whoa. It was myself and Ben. So I think I should give Ben the first honor of Ben. What have you made of the podcast for these first 100 episodes?
Well, I mean, it's been disappointing, because I thought, you know, when we started, it was going to be Duncan and Ben mansplaining the WSL, and then you invited some women.
That was our working title.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
No, I mean, it's been wonderful, isn't it? I mean, it's been. I mean, from a personal level, it's just been really great to sort of have people to just chunter on about Albion women sort of for a few hours at a time. But I mean, how many amazing friends have I made in the last few years? It's just been fantastic. You know, it's not like we've got billions of listeners, but we've still apparently got enough to make it worth doing, which is great. So yeah, I mean, I just really enjoyed every minute of it. Really, it's been fantastic.
Yeah, like you say, it's been a good sort of way to meet people, and obviously, you know, when I started Shegulls, the kind of plan was always to kind of be able to connect different people amongst the community and just have a base really where everyone could sort of gather round, sort of thing. And I think actually, in a lot of ways, the podcast is almost as much, if not more so, than almost Shegulls, because it does connect people who listen, and you know, then they get to know us, we know other people, they get to know each other, and lots of things have happened from there on. I think it was after episode 1 of Duncan and Ben mansplain the WSL that we thought it might be a good idea to put the word out and see if we could get some female representation, given that we are talking about the women's football team. And Claire, I don't know what possessed you, but you threw your hat in the ring.
Yeah.
How have you found these 100 episodes?
Well, I mean, like Ben said, it's been a lot of fun, hasn't it? That's the main part of it. I mean, I saw your little advert and I was like, I could do that. And I just thought, yeah, sod it, why not? So yeah, I remember contacting you, and then we had a little chat, and then that was it. It was happening. So yeah, it's just been great fun, and it's meant that I've done things maybe that I probably wouldn't have done, you know, beforehand. I wouldn't have gone to every game every time, you know, for the last 2 seasons virtually. Whereas, being part of this, there's kind of, it does give you a little bit of a confidence that people out there do know you and they know your voice and they know what you're part of, and they're willing to talk to you, and even for me, you can sort of make them feel a bit more comfortable sometimes when they're on their own, and be that sort of nice person that's just bringing it all together. And I just think, Shegulls has just become something bigger than just a website or a podcast, and that's just brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. It is that connectivity, isn't it, of the community, and that was something that I think I really thought the Brighton Hove Albion. You could see there were shoots, there were people who wanted to do things, but it was just having someone to ask about it, or having someone to host it, or to kind of bounce ideas off and stuff. So yeah, I think from that perspective, the fact that people could listen to what we were saying and kind of agree, disagree, I'm sure we've spoken for so many hours that I'm sure a lot of what we said was virtual absolute nonsense, but we've had a lovely time doing it. And people, like you say, we're not getting delusions of grandeur, but there are enough people that listen to it and appreciate it for what it is, which is, the only real outlet where you'll hear, discussion pretty much solely about Brighton Hove Albion women's team. I do occasionally get asked, what would happen, if I did a podcast, me being someone else in this instance, what would you think, and all that sort of thing. And I said, the more the merrier, quite frankly. The more people talking about the women's team, if other people want to do, we have got other supporters clubs now. If other people want to do websites or whatever, absolutely 100% go for it. I would never stop anyone from doing anything like that. This was almost like a proof of concept that people would actually listen. Okay, not millions, but 100 or so, and that's good enough for us, because we have a nice time doing it. And we're just talking about one of our passions with our friends, on a Monday on a regular basis, and that's really nice. That's very cathartic. Often, you need that as an Albion fan. Abby, I can't say exactly when you came on the podcast, because I know, but because of the quiz, I have to keep it a secret for now. But yeah, you came on sort of midway through our run up to 100.
I did, yeah.
And how did you find it, being the sort of fourth member coming in and a new voice?
I came for one episode. That's all I'm saying. I came for one episode to help out. So I think Ben was away for something, and Claire said, "Oh, could just come and talk to us for a couple of hours." And here I am, however many episodes later, and it's been brilliant. I've really, really enjoyed it. To echo what Claire said, I've also done things that I might not necessarily have done if I wasn't a part of the podcast. It would have been quite easy to have gone, I won't go to that away game, or I might not do this, or I might not do that. But then suddenly, I've now found myself head to toe in blue and white, and I've got merch, and it's brilliant. I've really enjoyed it. But I've also got not only you as friends, but also a wider group of friends at the club, and particularly those of us who go to away games. There is this little, we are an eclectic family, and like all families, we sometimes have our, fallings out and not rubbings along, and then we all get back together again because we're here for one reason, that's to support the team, and it's lovely. And it's just been brilliant. I've really, really enjoyed it. And for those who don't know, I've also roped in my mother, who has to come and dog sit whenever I film the podcast, because otherwise we would have canine interference. So thanks to Mother for allowing us to do it.
Absolutely.
But I've really enjoyed it, mostly, except for when you throw awkward questions at me that I haven't researched for.
Yeah, Mother is definitely very much the silent fifth member of the podcast.
Well, you say silent.
Well, yes.
Yeah. You may occasionally hear her in her dulcet tones in the background, but
slightly in the background.
Yeah,
but we love it.
Yeah. But yeah, absolutely. It's a team effort at the end of the day. No one of us can do this on our own. I probably thought about trying at some point, but there you go. I hate the sound of my own voice, so I think a lot of people do. So people probably say, "Oh, do you listen to your podcast back?" No, I do not.
No.
I'm happy to hear what everyone else has got to say, because I'm used to listening to them, but I'm not used to listening to myself. So that will be interesting, because, and I didn't mention this to you guys before, and it may very much vary depending on availability, but I do think the episode, because it is recorded, will premiere. I don't know why I'm doing air quotes, but premiere on YouTube at 9 o'clock on Monday, the 15th. I am intending to be in the comments for that. So if you do have questions, or you do want to give feedback or anything like that, you can. It's just that the Duncan that you see on the screen will not be able to respond, because he was doing this a few days ago,
Yes.
if that makes sense. So yeah, absolutely, you guys are welcome to join, depending on availability and everything, because I know we've got, the players are going on holiday, but we've got holidays to go on and things to do and bits and bobs like that. So we'll see how it goes. But I definitely will jump on there, and maybe the other guys will too if they're available. Yeah, I mean, anything come to mind in terms of particularly amusing moments or funny things like that? I mean, obviously Chankety Chank has.
Yeah. I was going to say that for me will always be the funniest moment, when you came out with Chankety Chank.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much the whole game, it was that no one was expecting the theme tune. That kind of just like, that was just like chef's kiss. It made it. It was just like, this is hilarious. And yeah.
And when you say theme tune, you mean Chankety Chank, 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 Chankety Chank. And please welcome your host, Duncan Price. I mean, to be fair, that is the updated version, because it didn't originally have the the host part, and it didn't have a scary picture of me with like a slightly too thin body. I think it's sort of stuff of nightmares for some people. Honestly, if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple, don't go and search that part out, because it will just frighten you. It may even put you off the podcast. So
yeah,
we'll see how it goes. But yeah, many a moment of mirth. So Chankety Chank does get a mention in the quiz. Everyone will be happy to hear. But yeah, 100, big achievement.
Yeah.
I think
a lot of games,
a lot of episodes, a lot of podcasts. I mean, we've been going sort of 2.25 years, 2.33 years, something like that. And I'm not sure of the exact average, but it's not far off. Sort of, we're missing maybe like 1 week out of every 4 or 5. So, which I think is pretty good, given that the off season can be quite a tough.
Yeah, there's not much you can really do when there's nothing happening. So
but so it can get a bit challenging to come up with games and bits and bobs to play. But obviously, there is still stuff going on. Normally, there's transfer rumours and contract renewals and all that sort of thing, which we will obviously cover in episode 101 when we come around to it in a week or two's time. I think we should just crack on with the quiz. Should we do that? I haven't got an amazing intro for the quiz, so that's a shame.
Quizity quiz.
Let's have. Why don't we have Abby's awkward question one? Because I mean they are questions. So let's put Abby's.
Surprised by women's football.
And I mean, technically, Abby hasn't been here as long as we have, so they are possibly slightly more awkward for Abby. But long-time listener and participant from a certain period onwards, which we'll come to. Okay, so here we go. So there's 20 questions about various different topics, obviously about the podcast. So we'll do the questions and then we'll go through the answers afterwards. I think that's the easiest way. Okay, so question number 1. True or false? The average run time of an episode since we began is over 2 hours. True or false?
I know how much we yap.
It's a tricky one.
Can't be tricky, surely.
Everyone got an answer for that?
Yeah. It is a tricky one though, because if it's averaged out over all of them,
Yeah, but I used to go to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes with these two.
That was just us talking afterwards.
Yeah, it's because we didn't finish until like midnight. So I'm thinking, like, I've got my answer.
I refer to those as the good old days. Okay, question 2. Listen to the wording on this, it's important. Name the only former Brighton and Hove Albion player to make a full guest appearance on the podcast. Name the only former Brighton and Hove Albion player to make a full guest appearance on the podcast. I can do repeats at the end if you don't get an answer at the time. Okay, so that's question 2. Question 3. Which of these 3 words has featured the least in episode title names? Brighton, Albion, or Seagulls? So it's which of these 3 words has featured the least in episode title names? Brighton, Albion, or Seagulls? I should say as well before we carry on that I hope the listeners are able to partake in this quiz also and see what they score, because it should be interactive, so like a bit of interactive entertainment on this podcast. Okay, so question number 4. This is another true or false. True or false? Our most streamed and downloaded episode is episode 49, Shooting Down the Gunners. So true or false, our most streamed and downloaded episode is episode 49, Shooting Down the Gunners.
Okay.
I think I was in charge of puns at that point. Question 5. To within... Now, here we go, Abby. To within a 2-episode tolerance either side, in which episode did Abby make her Shegulls debut? So you can have 2 below. You can be bang on. There's no extra bonus points for that, though. 2 below or 2 above. So within 5 numbers. Quite a tricky one, that one.
It's going to be really embarrassing when I get that one wrong.
I'm going to go. All right. Okay, I've done it.
Got one?
Yeah.
Question 6. Higher or lower? Our most recent episode that ran for less than 60 minutes. Higher or lower than episode 50? So if you think the last time we had a 1 hour or shorter episode was below 50... I don't
even remember that happening.
Then that would be lower. If you think it was 50 and then after, then that would be higher. Okay. Question 7. True or false? Guess the phrase with Caitlin Hayes featured on the podcast before Chankety Chank. True or false? It's a tricky one, isn't it?
I'm going to go, yeah.
That's why I made some of these true or false. So I was like, genuinely, you're not going to remember. I didn't remember. So, it's easier if you just got a 50-50. Okay, here we go. This one's quite a little bit more convoluted. Other than stadiums and Brighton, can you name 2 actual places, i.e. like you can find them on a map, that feature in podcast titles?
Oof. Okay, I'm going to go with that one. Where else?
If you get 1, I'll give you half a point, because that might be a good way of doing a tiebreaker later. So if you get 2, you get a full point. If you get 1, half.
Can you repeat that question, Duncan?
Yes,
Give us a
I
little
can.
bit
Doesn't
more thinking
necessarily
time.
mean we've been there, does it? It just means we've played against that.
Not
team from
necessarily.
that place potentially.
Yeah, and it needs to obviously have been in the title of the episode. Other than stadiums, so like Amex and Brighton, so no podcast that's mentioned title that says Brighton. Can you name 2 actual places that you could find on a map that feature in podcast titles? That's a bit of a thinker, that one. Okay, question 9. Where was Duncan on holiday for the recording of episode 72, Too Little Too Late? I don't need you to be massively specific if you can just remember.
You don't want the hotel then? No.
No.
Room number?
Okay with that one? Question 10. Another true or false? True or false? The word football has never appeared in an episode title. True or false? Tricky one, that one. Okay, question 11. The longest episode title in Shegulls history is South Americans, Shirts, and Same Old what? So the longest episode title of all time is South Americans, Shirts, and Same Old something. That was question 11. Question 12. This is at before or after. Before or after episode 1 and the 1st of February 2024. So was it released before or after the 1st of February 2024?
Can you say that one again?
Yeah, so before or after, so episode 1 and the 1st of February 2024. So was the first episode released before or after the 1st of February 2024? So obviously, if you thought it was the 25th of January, it would be before. 25th of February, it would be after. Question 13. How many episodes has Duncan missed in the entire run of the show? Okay, that was 13. Got another true or false coming up. So question 14, true or false, the longest single episode released in its entirety, that's important, is over 3 hours long. So released in one go, was it 3 hours long, true or false, or 3 hours or more? Question 15. Who predicted that Brighton would win the FA Cup at the end of the 2024-25 season? In our bold predictions that season. So a year too soon, and we didn't win, but it was along the right lines. Question 17.
I've got 16. Why have I missed one?
Oh, hang on. Oh, beg your pardon. Sorry, I've written 16. Yeah.
I was thinking I didn't zone out at all. I don't know how I missed one.
That was a test to see if you were listening.
Trying my very hardest to keep my concentration here.
Come on, we can do it.
16. 16. Under or over 45 episodes released in 2025. Will there less than, which would be under, or more than, be over? I can tell you that it's not 45. That's what I chose that as. Okay, 17. Claire, this is a good one. I was pleased with this one. Claire says 4-0 has become synonymous with the Shegulls podcast. Actually, let's put it in there.
Claire says 4-0 every time. Brighton's gonna blow your mind. Hold your breath, the crowd stands still. But Claire says 4-0.
There we go.
I always have a little boogie to that.
I'm a little
I know,
boogie.
that's a good one, isn't it?
Song.
That's a good one.
I'm just glad my mic's muted at that point.
Yes.
Yes, so Claire says 4-0 has become synonymous with the Shegulls podcast. But when Brighton last won 4-0, which was at home versus Everton in September 2024, what did Claire predict as a score?
Oh, come
Oh,
on.
damn.
3-0, 3-1, or 2-1? So I thought it'd be a bit harsh to make you just pluck it out of thin air. So I've given you 3 options.
Yeah. Thanks for that, mate.
3-0, 3-1, or 2-1. I don't know if it helps, but I think it was Ben who was on the same podcast. And in a very, very, very rare occasion, he just agreed with you and went for the same score.
Oh.
So there we go. Question 18. Our Christmas special in 2025 had a pun for a title. What was it?
Oh, blimey.
No idea. Not a clue.
It's Christmas related, obviously.
Yeah.
The thing is, we don't very often look at the titles.
I don't
No,
ever.
there you go.
Mm.
Yeah,
I've started
that's
paying
quite a
attention
difficult
now.
one. Yeah, because I didn't give you options. Okay, 19. True or false? Episode 19 had a runtime of just 52 minutes because Duncan had a lunch reservation. True or false? And I haven't done that really annoying thing where it's like it wasn't episode 19, it was episode 20. Like you're supposed to remember that. So that was 19. And final question. In the first iteration of Chankety Chank, whose dance moves were infamously admired by Marissa Olislagers before it turned out that she was actually moving so strangely because she was choking on an unknown item?
Oh.
I'll repeat that because I said it weirdly. In the first iteration of Chankety Chank, whose dance moves were infamously admired by Marissa Olislagers before it turned out that she was actually moving so strangely because she was choking on an unknown item? Okay, does anyone need any repeats?
No.
No?
I mean,
It is what it is.
I just guessed all of them, basically. And I said to my sister on the phone earlier, I said, I've got to go because I've got to go and have a look at all the podcast titles and names and stats and stuff and blah, blah, blah. And then I just got totally distracted. And
Yeah.
I didn't bother, and
I did
now-
wonder whether anyone would start to do some research just in case. There we go. Right, so everyone's happy for me to go ahead and do the answers?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Do you want us to say what we've got first? Or
No, you can just mark along. I think that's probably the easiest
Do we
way.
not have to like exchange papers?
If we could, we would. If we could, we would, but we shan't. So true or false, average runtime of an episode since we began is over 2 hours. It's false.
Damn it.
Whoa.
It's in fact just under an hour and 55.
I was banking on some of your earlier ones being much shorter.
I think one was like 40 minutes.
Well, the first one was, and I think
So what you're saying is
been
that
down ever
since
since.
Claire and then I have joined, is that the episodes have got much longer.
Mm.
Because I do
I-
remember missing an episode recently, and that was the reason why it was under 2 hours because I wasn't there.
I think I might have mentioned that. Yeah, apologies about that. Yeah, I was actually on a podcast, a season review of the WSL last night, and that went on for 4 hours.
Good Lord.
So there we go. So we're not the only ones.
That is not something to aim for, then.
I don't think so. Okay, question 2. Name the only former Brighton Hove Albion player to make a full guest appearance on the podcast. It's Go on,
Joe
Claire.
Davis.
It's Joe Davis,
of course it is.
WSL fan of the year.
yes.
Joe Davis, not just nominee anymore. She bloody won it this year.
Mm.
Good on her. Okay, question 3. Which of these three words has featured the least in episode title names? Brighton, Albion, or Seagulls? It is Seagulls with one.
I thought it'd be
Very
Brighton.
well, yeah.
Yeah, funnily enough, it was actually the second ever episode had the word seagulls in it. It was called Seven Star Seagulls, I think.
Yeah.
Since then,
I'd have thought Seagulls would have been quite popular.
yeah, since then, no seagulls. Brighton had 2 and Albion 5. So Albion's the most popular one out of those. 4, true or false. Our most streamed and downloaded episode is episode 49, Shooting Down the Gunners. That is true. That is true. Episode 1 has more Spotify plays, but episode 49 has more in total. So Apple Podcast listeners obviously love that one for some reason. Question 5. To within a 2-episode tolerance either side, in which episode did Abby make her She-Girls debut? So, Abby, you made your She-Girls debut in episode 44.
Oh,
So you could have had anything between 42 and 46. 43.
I was way out. I was like 68. I thought it was much later.
I thought it was later, but I think Abby, you did guess a couple of times.
And
That's where the awkward question comes from. Which
Yes.
we'll touch on later.
Yeah.
I got 47. I wasn't too far away.
Yeah. Oh, do you know, I nearly had a 3 tolerance either side, and I thought that.
Do I
might
get
be a bit
half a
easier.
point for being in the 40s?
No.
Nice try, though. Nice try.
I admire the effort, but no.
Yeah.
Higher or lower? This question 6. Our most recent episode that ran for less than 60 minutes. Higher or lower than episode 50? The answer is higher. Episode 52, and our interview with Sam from Decoding the WSL. Part of our She-Girls interviews section. So yeah, 52 that was. I think it ran about 54 minutes or something like that in total. True or false? Guess the phrase with Caitlin Hayes featured on the podcast before Chankety Chank. That is true.
Yay.
Episode 59. Chankety Chank was episode 62. So there we go. I checked. Question 8. This one I am going to get you to say what you got because I'm going to keep this as a tiebreaker if anyone gets the same score.
Ooh.
So Ben, what did you get for this one? The stadiums, other than the stadiums and Brighton, can you name 2 actual places that feature in podcast titles?
Well, first I put Wembley, and I thought actually that's a stadium, but it's also a place. So I don't know if that counts. But Dagenham? Did we have Dagenham? Again, that's not a stadium.
You get half a point at the moment. Wembley is fine, but there's no Dagenham.
No, there's no Dagenham.
No Dagenham. Claire?
I've gone for Manchester and Durham.
That's half a point again. Manchester's correct, but there's no Durham.
Yeah, I knew Manchester. I couldn't think of another one.
Abby, how about yourself?
I got Liverpool and Leicester.
A full point for you, Abby.
Ooh.
Yeah, Liverpool and Leicester are both on there.
I was going to say bloody Liverpool and all.
So
God damn.
I'll save the other answers on that one just in case we need a tiebreak question.
I don't think we will.
Probably not, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Where was Duncan on holiday for the recording of episode 72, Too Little Too Late? I will accept Centre Parks, but if you
I had Las Vegas. I couldn't remember where you were.
Yeah, that was the one where I had it.
Everton.
It was balanced on top of the.
I can remember you being perched on a very uncomfortable chair.
Correct. Yeah.
But I couldn't remember the specific Centre Parks you were at.
Oh, well, if you just put Centre Parks, that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was Woburn, just in case anyone's interested. But yeah. Question 10, true or false? The word football has never appeared in an episode title. That is false. It appeared once in episode 58, which was called Football Came Home Again.
Of course. I remember that.
And there we go. That was the answer for that one. The longest, this is a bit slightly related actually to that one. The longest episode title of all time is South Americans, Shirts, and Same Old Serena.
Topical.
So even back then we were complaining.
I mean, I went for Same Old Story, which is technically the same.
Kind of, yeah. It's the same gist, yeah. Question 12, before or after, sorry, episode 1 and the 1st of February. So was the episode released before or after the 1st of February? It was released after the first episode, released on the 20th of February 2024.
Dropping the ball. I remember it well.
Dropping the ball, yeah. Second
I
most
started
popular
off very
episode.
strong, and I've really dropped off for these last few
Dropped off.
questions.
I'm quite the
Ah.
opposite. actually.
These are all 50-50 in it, and I've gone the 25.
I hope you all got this one. Question 13. How many episodes has Duncan missed in the entire run of the show? It is, of course, none.
No.
I was going to say, it better be, because who would have taken charge if you wasn't here? That would be carnage.
I'm sure someone would have stepped up, but yeah. Well, maybe one day we'll find out if I'm stricken at the last final hour or something. Question 15. Who
14.
predicted?
14.
Oh, beg pardon. Yep, sorry, I'm jumping ahead again. Dear, oh dear. True or false? The longest single episode released in its entirety is over 3 hours long. That is false.
Oh,
I was sure that was true.
we
the
did one, but you
longest-
split it in half, didn't you?
Correct. Yes. So
Mm.
the longest actual single released episode was 2 hours and 59 minutes. However, if episode 88, our survey says, had been released as a single episode, it would have clocked in at 3 hours and 10 minutes. So yeah, I think it was a season review or something we did, was 2 hours and 59 minutes. We must have seen the third hour approaching and thought,
Let's
we gotta
Yeah.
Get the second half of the season out of the way in 10 minutes.
exactly. Okay, now we're on question 15. Who predicted that Brighton would win the FA Cup at the end of 2024-25 season in bold predictions? That was producer Joe
Producer Joe.
Sayers.
Yeah.
Big up,
I'm
big
hoping I'm
ups
going to have a Brighton season now and like scoop up some last ones on the end of this.
Yeah.
just
the beginning
finish
of
it
my
off the right way.
beginning of my quiz
Yeah.
season has been pretty dire.
Yeah.
No, we won a T-shirt, Claire, at a quiz.
Yeah, that
Oh,
was
there you
then,
go,
not on
yeah.
this. On this we didn't.
Well, no.
This is not.
I should have thought of a prize, shouldn't I? Or maybe a forfeit for whoever comes last.
Yeah.
16 under or over 45 episodes released in 2025. It is over
Yeah.
46 episodes.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean that's pretty. It's basically one a week, isn't it?
One a week.
You know,
Apart from the summer.
yeah. So yeah, quite pleased with that. Question 17. Claire says 4-0 has become synonymous with this Shegulls podcast, but when Brighton last won 4-0 at home versus Everton in September 22, what did Claire predict as the score? The correct answer is 3-0.
I went for
3-0.
2-1.
3-0.
I went 2-1.
I was getting ready for something like way off the mark or whatever, and when you said 3-0, I was like, "Gosh, you actually nearly bloody got it." Didn't you?
Yeah. I think I don't know. Did I say 3-0 as well then?
You
'Cause
did.
Didn't
Yeah,
we
you
expect
did.
Everton to be a bit better last season? And then
You
they
actually
kind of weren't.
said that you didn't think they'd score. You didn't. You
Yeah.
thought we would get 3, and you didn't think they'd score, which is you were umming and ahhing. I think about 3-1.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking of Kiko, and I've obviously forgotten we'd signed Fran.
Yeah, there you go. Won't make that mistake again. That's why
Yeah.
we go 4-0 every time.
Yeah.
Okay, so question 18. This was quite a difficult one. Our Christmas special in 2025 had a pun for a title. What was it? It was Away in a Manger.
Oh, Merritt.
Yeah.
I went for It's a Cracker.
That's a cracker. I told you I don't do impressions. Question 19. True or false? Oh, funnily enough, episode 19. True or false? Episode 19 had a run time of just 52 minutes because Duncan had lunch reservations. That is true.
Oh.
That was when I was in Las Vegas. And it was evening for you guys and lunchtime for me. So that's how that actually happened. And finally, question 20. In the first iteration of Chankety Chank, whose dance moves were infamously admired by Marissa Ollerslagers before it turned out she was actually moving so strangely because she was choking on an unknown item, it was Nadine Nordam.
She moves in mysterious ways.
And I'm pretty sure Ben. I don't know. I can't. I only remember that Ben definitely got it because he said Lost Boys Chicken, which was chicken was one of the options. So I do remember it from that. But hopefully Nadine has recovered. In fact, that didn't actually happen. So I'm sure she has. Let's not conflate news
Fictional
with
Nadine is fine.
Fictional Nadine and the actual Nadine, hopefully both fine.
Mm-hmm.
So there we go. Did that provoke any memories? And
Loads, yeah.
I mean, it's provoked the idea that I might need to get my memory sorted.
yeah, I mean, it was challenging at times. That's like I say, that's why I went for a few true or falses, because it was just, I thought there's no way anyone's going to actually remember the specific answer. So, but yeah, I thought maybe a bit of gut feeling. So, have you guys got the scores there?
Yes, and I'd rather not announce them.
Well, I think we should go Claire first.
6.5.
6.5. That's not
Rubbish.
bad. That's not bad. Okay. Abby, do you want to go next?
11.
11.
What?
That's good. Ben.
Well, I was sitting there all smug about to go 9.5, and now I'm going 9.5.
9.5.
Cheat.
So Abby wins.
Yay!
Way. I think maybe, you said that you'd listened to quite a few of the episodes before you started to be on. Maybe that's the answer. Is that we don't listen to enough episodes. We're just on them. But there we go. 11. Very, very, very good score.
I'd have done better if I'd have remembered when I joined the podcast.
That's true. You weren't far off. I'll give you that.
Do you have written down in your research when I joined as a full-time member?
I do not.
No.
But I would have guessed it was in the 50s, 60s, early maybe. Because that was when I was thinking that you'd first come on.
Yeah.
But I hadn't allowed
there was quite a break, because when you said about before or after episode 50 something, did you have the last hour episode? I was like, well, it must have been before I joined, because I don't remember having done an episode. But I did an episode. Then there were quite a few where I didn't.
Yeah.
And I did a few guest appearances for when people were off. And then came on full time. So
and there you go. The only other thing I suppose is just to mention the different places that you could have had for the other stadiums. So I think, Claire, you got Manchester, didn't you? I think.
Yeah.
Abby, you got Liverpool and Leicester. Ben, you got Wembley. So the other ones we didn't have were Crawley, could have had, Switzerland, South America, which actually, to be fair, I think I mentioned in one of the other questions.
Yes.
So. But you would have had to have gone back on yourself. So fair play. Sussex, what you could have had as well. And finally, the world.
narrows it down.
So I mean, technically, you all got them all right, because they are all places in the world. But yeah, so that was the I thought I'd just save those in case we needed a tie break. We'd see who could get the first one. But yeah, a lot of places there that have never been named in the podcast, like London or
Dagenham.
Durham. So yeah, it's probably, I'm obviously more obsessed with puns than I am with geography, which I think any sensible person should be, really, if we're honest. So there we go. Yeah, I will give a shout out to obviously we mentioned him briefly there on question 15, our producer Joe, who was with us from day one. I'm pretty sure he produced our first episode, Ben, if I remember rightly. Yeah. And then I think it was maybe sometime in the late 70s, early 80s, in terms of episodes, not years. We haven't been going that long. Some people have. Albion Raw, I think, been going that long. Yes, Joe obviously, left us to take on the projects and stuff that he's doing, and doing very, very well, I should add. So yeah, massive thank you to Joe for all he did for the podcast and for Shegulls. He used to put our articles and stuff up on Albion Obsessed and stuff. So that's why we've kind of kept the Albion Obsessed name up until this episode, basically. So it's a good way to sort of, it was a good way to sort of pay Joe back for all his hours of work and everything. So I'm not saying that we will or won't have a new sponsor, but if there is anyone out there who wants to sponsor us and or produce the show, because, you know, quite frankly, we can see I'm not quite up to it really, but you know, we get through.
I think we're doing all right, mate. I think we're doing all right.
I think we're doing
people
all
have got no technical skills whatsoever. We're
We-
good.
Yeah, we get there. We
We get it up. It's on there. We're out in the world.
Yeah, exactly. Luckily, it only takes a few clicks of a button nowadays, and there you are presenting to the entirety of the planet.
Exactly.
So,
And what a fantastic job you do. So
Yes.
just
Oh,
give yourself
thank
a pat on
you.
the back, mate.
I was twice named Podcaster of the Year, but then I think it will probably at that point it probably was just me, Claire, and Ben. So it wasn't Podcaster of the Year like for every podcast. It was for
No,
this podcast.
This
So
podcast.
it was quite specific. So, yeah. But yeah, it's always nice to be recognised. So I appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much.
I think we can honestly say there has been no better host of this program, Duncan.
Yes, I'd agree with that. Given that, and that's not big-headed. That's just because there has only been one. So
Wow.
exactly. I saw what you were
Take the
driving at, I think.
compliment as you wish.
Exactly. So there we go. Yeah, I mean, we've had a fantastic time doing this podcast. We're going to keep doing the podcast as long as people, you know, are still wanting to listen. To be honest with you, even if you don't want to listen, we'll probably still keep doing it. So, you know,
It's basically like four old farts down the pub, innit? That's basically what we are, you know.
yeah, and that's what we always wanted it to be, because you know, some podcasts are very produced and they're very shiny and polished and stuff. But you know, if we were trying to hit cues and if we were getting to a certain point and thinking, oh, okay, we've got to stop talking now because of the time or whatever, you know, some people might prefer if it was a bit shorter, quite honestly. But yeah, it's just, you know, we're having a chat, we're having fun, and you know, if you start putting limits on things and bells and whistles and stuff like that, then you know, you lose part of what makes it fun. I think it becomes more of a product than a podcast. So there we go. And the dogs agree with me. So you know,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think that's all pretty much. People will be thinking, hang on, 47 minutes, Dunk. What is going on here? You sound like you're bringing this to a close. Not quite, because we have our very, very, very special guest. Now, this person got in touch with us directly after I asked on social media for people to contact us who would like to be guests on the show, and negotiated with us a very hard bargain, i.e. they just wanted to know what time and for how long roughly. There was no payment involved, you know. We're not there yet. We're not there yet, guys. So yes, got in touch with us, and we were astonished, quite frankly, but had very good conversations with this person. You notice I'm not saying a gender at the moment. Yeah,
They do have one.
They do have one. Yeah, they do have one. But it will very much give it away if I say what it is. So it's coming. It's coming. But yeah, spent a really good hour or so with this person earlier in the week. So you will notice us suddenly switch clothes.
We all do, yes.
Yeah. And then at the
Magic.
end, we'll magically switch back to what we're wearing now. So, you know, there's magic of television or whatever they call it. Yes, I don't really know how to sort of. I'll throw it to you guys and just see how excited are you guys, or were you guys going into this interview without burying the lead? Claire.
It's massive. It's just massive, isn't it? It's. I don't think we could have asked for anyone better.
Abby, same from me.
Absolutely. You notice that because when you go to the interview, I'm wearing a shirt. I dressed up.
And I'm silent, so
yeah, it was just, yeah. I mean, it was awesome to be a part of, but just very exciting going into it as well. Yeah, just, you know, but also a testament to you and, you know, how well you run things as well. So, but yeah, I was very excited.
The head is inflating as we
Yeah.
speak.
I want to do another however many episodes.
Yeah, there we go. And Ben, it's so hard not to say who it is. Ben, really important for our 100th episode to have a sort of a flagship name to kind of, put a focal point on this episode.
Yeah, and I think it's testament to the work that we, but mostly you, have done over the last sort of couple of seasons to just build this sort of bridge relationship, whatever, between the club / players / staff / blah blah whatever. Not giving anything away. This person just felt that they wanted to reach out and speak to us. So yeah, it was amazing, fantastic.
There we go. So I think, without further ado, we should announce that the interview you are about to see is Shegulls talking to, I'm doing a drum roll, head coach of Brighton Hove Albion, Dario Vidosic, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, indeed. We are here with Brighton Hove Albion head coach, Dario Vidosic. Hooray! Everyone's clapping, but you can only hear me at the moment. So, again, just thank you so much for doing this, Dario. It means a lot to us. 100 episodes in, and we've got the head coach. So I think we're going to count that as a win, definitely, 100%. So we were just talking a little bit off air about the FA Cup final. So I think we'll start there. That was obviously the last thing that kind of happened. So, not had a chance to speak to you about it since. So, how did you sort of feel the game went, and what was your sort of overall, feeling about the whole occasion? Were you able to enjoy it despite the result and get something out of it, or was it, a little bit challenging at times to do so?
Look, I think a little bit of both. I think naturally you're not going to say we're happy to lose a cup final. We spoke about it. We don't want to just go there and be happy that we made it this far and have the occasion just to be at Wembley. But on the other hand, and upon like reflection, and even there, I was so proud of the performance, the bravery. To probably say, even if we said at the start of the season that we would probably be the more dominant team against City in a cup final, I don't think people would probably be going, yeah, you're dreaming. What are you talking about? So for the fact that, that we were able to do what we done, and football is a funny sport. And I think that's the beauty of it. And I've spoken about it many times. And unfortunately, I've been on now 2 finals where we've played like close to the best game of the season. Similar at City, we were so dominant in the final, and just same thing. We just could not score, and it felt like it just needed 1 goal, and that would change the whole outlook of the game. And that's probably the big thing, and that's probably the one thing inside. It's like, could we have done more? Is there something more that we could have done to create or to score and to be better in both boxes? But I think it's just sometimes those little moments. I thought we created many really good moments, and probably the proudest thing was, the players and our supporters, they were there until that final whistle. No one gave in. The support was there. You could still hear our fans over the City fans. The girls were still pushing. I didn't see anyone's heads drop even when the 4th goal goes in. So, from a coach's perspective, that's probably that's the least that you can ask for. And then, it'd be very easy to give up. But, that was something that was really, really pleasing along with the performance.
Yeah, and I think you've spoken before about the team having an identity and wanting to play a certain way, and if we go out there and do that, it's recognisable to the fans. And I think that was probably one of the key things, was we could see it was our team trying to play our way, and you could see that we were having success. It didn't work out in the end, but I think we were all incredibly proud of the staff, yourself, and the team, and not that we wouldn't have stayed to applaud and stuff afterwards, because of course we would. But yeah, it was, for us, we played a really good game. It just happened that we lost 4-0 in the end. But, I think all of us, to a person, were exceptionally proud. So, I want to talk. I'll start a little bit on last season first, if I may. So, in terms of like the overall season, including the league, how would you sort of assess, the results, the end results?
Quite. Look, I think okay. We would have liked to have again been the best team. We always set out to achieve that. At the start, we set out to go for the trophies. And then when that's not possible, then we try to go as high as we possibly can. We try to win every single game. I think, there's a lot of games when we look back, we've been very unlucky. Even the West Ham at 2-0, I think, there was a lot learned from that. I wasn't there for that game, but, sort of communicating with the team, talking to the guys after the game and a few of the girls and just seeing, and we needed that learning. And funny enough, we then played them in my first game back not long after in the FA Cup, and same thing, 2-0, and then like a bit of an error, and it felt like a case of deja vu, but we were able to then defend much better. We didn't probably control the game as much as we would have liked, but that's another thing to learn that we have throughout the season. It's like when teams get desperate, and like Arsenal, City, when we played them, when they start to commit so many numbers forward and it gets more direct, how do we then sort of still get control, still try to play in the opponent's half, and not let the scoreline or the time take that away? But all in all, we were 1-0 up against Tottenham, and that would have given us our best ever season. And we wanted to make some substitutions. We're looking after a couple of players in terms of just their load. A few that were carrying yellow cards that would have been then suspended if they got another booking for next season. And I'm trying to get as many girls feeling a game, especially with a 2-week window between the last game and the FA Cup final, to have as many ready. But there was those other games where I thought a similar thing, where London City, where we were the very, very dominant team on the field, should have been pretty much game over at halftime, and football's football, can happen. So, but I think what was really pleasing, what was probably a big step from the year before, we were able to really, really compete with those top four. We were able to give them games, probably bar the Chelsea game at home. Every other game we were there. We deserved points. We deserved results. How we played at the Emirates after the year before, how we played at the Emirates. So, although maybe in terms of the ladder, the final position, but if we look at the performances, we were in every single game. Defensively, we improved a lot. And the good thing is there's still a lot of growth left in the team. There's still a lot of steps that can be taken, a lot of improvement. But the great thing is that we're seeing those happen. And then also, once we were able to sort of maintain players on the field and on the training field, that helped as well. And probably the biggest thing, I think, it's probably no surprise, we didn't have a number 9 after losing Mish for very early in the season. And I always hold my breath whenever they go away on internationals, especially with England. We seem to lose a couple when they go there, but these things as well happen. But that's probably one thing. I think with her as well, would she have probably set the league on fire right away? Probably not. But the growth that she would have had playing and experiencing these things, that would have been a very useful player for us as well to have through the whole season. So a lot of good, a lot of stuff to learn from. So I think there's a lot of stuff to be excited about.
Yeah, would you say that those are the two sort of biggest challenges that we faced this season? Was probably the like you say, the situation with not having an out and out number 9, and then also you've mentioned before about the fact that you weren't able to name like a consistent squad. I guess they kind of go hand in hand to a certain extent, because you've got to move players around. And would you say that was the biggest challenge this season?
It was, and it's sometimes the best thing is to have not just to be able to field the same team, but also to have those at training, the competition, that they compete against each other. That and sometimes I talk about it's sometimes the little things you don't see. The girls have been excellent, like I can't fault them, but sometimes it's that when you're at home and maybe you've gotten into a Netflix series, and it's maybe bedtime, but you go, I'll watch one more. And when that you maybe don't have that competition, that someone's there due to injuries or so when you have everyone there, it forces people then to do the right thing a little bit more, because they feel that hot air down the back of their neck, that someone's there pushing them all the way. And if you're off a little bit, it can be very hard then to get your place back. So we started to get that in the back end. And then also you get the continuity, players playing together, training together. They start to form connections. They talk to each other, even during sessions. They say, like if we use like Fran and Kiko, how when they play together on the right, how they just get to know each other, the spaces, and that you need to train together for those things to start to happen.
Absolutely. I'm going to switch tacts now. I'm going to take you a long time back, a long time back. So you were born. You're gonna have to forgive my pronunciation. In Osijek.
Yep,
Osijek. Yep. To your mum and dad are Croatian, obviously, but you moved to Australia when you were quite young. What was that like? I mean, I can see your T-shirt. I can see the Croatian player. Is it Suka? Suka.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolute legend from my younger days. So yeah, were they? Did they kind of try and assimilate you into Australian culture quite quickly, or was it always a mixture of Croatian and Australian cultures?
Yeah, look, it was a mixture. So we were right into the Croatian community when we first arrived, and I think to help my parents get into the country, and he was playing for a Croatian club, and then I was a junior at that club, so I spent my first probably until the age of 12 we were there. So I've got many friends that are still like lifelong friends that we've been together from pretty much the age of 3 or 4, following dad around, and so it was a bit of a mix. So it was a lovely upbringing. The community really helped my parents to settle in, to get to know the country, and then dad, how he worked as a footballer, then a little bit of plastering as well, helping building houses, and then sort of moved then into the coaching part, and slowly from Brisbane, Croatia, Rockley United, worked his way through. He was my high school coach as well. He was the technical director. So we went to a high school there where you would play football as well. So it was part of the sort of the curriculum. During kids would be doing, say, maths or science, and we would be out having a period or 2 periods of football. So he was the sort of the head of that. So if you can survive high school with your dad, then everything's quite good. But luckily, he was a cool teacher that everyone liked. So it was very, very easy for me.
Yeah, I was going to say, obviously, your dad was a big inspiration to you, and obviously, the situation over the winter months and stuff. Our thoughts, obviously, as always, go out to you and your family. But he was obviously like an incredible, figure to you. And I was going to ask about the fact that I did find an interview from, I think, 2008, where it mentioned that he was a teacher, obviously a coach as well. Did you always feel like he had that kind of that gravitas, that sort of mentorship? Like he was always someone you could sort of learn things from and gather knowledge from?
He was, and look, I don't think it's just in football. I think in life as well. It's nice to talk to dad and to ask him. So that's something that I really miss now. Not just the football chats, which we would have a lot of, and watching all the games, and reflecting upon results or training or whatever it may be, but also just general things in life that were also that's also important to get his wisdom and his experiences and what he thinks. So that's something that I feel is really missing, that you just can't have a conversation, can't have a chat, can't get a little bit of guidance sometimes in life. But in terms of everything else, he shaped me for the person I am. I've learned a lot from him, and I've always just wanted to be like him. So when he played football, I followed him around absolutely everywhere, playing on the back fields while he was playing on the main field. And so it was always that, and irrespective of how tired he would be, always found time to take me out and to practice and to play in the back garden. They gave up a lot, him and my mum. My mum traveling around Australia, and I never felt like I missed out on anything for the Queensland rep teams, or traveling for futsal, or outdoor. So it was a lovely childhood, and definitely missed out a lot every single day.
Yeah, and I just wanted to, you mentioned her there, but obviously I think if you tend to sort of end up following the path of one of your parents, you follow their career path, you have similar interests. Sometimes people don't like to mention the other part. So, what does your mum bring, to you that your dad maybe not so much?
Look, I think mums are mums in the end. They're caring. They're also, she can be tough on me too. So, but she's probably my biggest supporter. So it doesn't matter what time the game is. Even when I was an outfield player, she'd be at home watching the games. Follows absolutely everything to do with Brighton. So she's been a massive support. She's also another one that sacrificed a lot when I was younger, driving me absolutely everywhere, all over the state for different tournaments and different games every single weekend. So she probably knows every single football field in especially in Queensland. But I'm very, very thankful to both my parents, and I wouldn't be here without them.
Amen to that. So yeah, we'll talk about your professional career, if I may. So yeah, I think you did mention it a little bit there, but talk about the sort of transition from playing as a youth player, and like you say, following your dad around and stuff like that, into then becoming a professional.
Look, it's sort of, I can have a good sort of talks with the juniors, because I've experienced, and I sometimes have those talks with some of the girls that are coming through the academy. If we use Emily Gay as an example, she was one that I recently spoke to. She missed out on the under 17s. She was captain of the squad not too long before the announcement. So, and I told her just a story of mine. I was quite similar. When I was very young, I was touted as one of the better kids of the generation, probably until 12, 13 years old. And then I sort of fell off. I was a little bit smaller. I was a late developer. So it was very hard then at 13, 14, 15. I barely made any teams. I was struggling to make, like local teams, couldn't make the state team. I didn't go to the Academy of Sport. I never played for the Queensland Academy of Sport. I was sort of overlooked for all those teams. And then at 16, I was one of the first that was signed for. So there was sort of like a hiatus in Australia between it was called the National Soccer League, and then the A-League started up. And then there was about a 2-ish year hiatus in between those two. And then I was training with the local. So it was Queensland Roar at the time, who are now Brisbane Roar. And we were there with the Brisbane Lions, who became sort of the Queensland Roar. So I was training, playing in the youth team there, playing in the reserves team, and then was also playing in the first team when I was about 16 or 17, leading into the first years of the A-League. So, I signed the contract for the second year, went to the AIS then, and sort of everything happened very, very quickly from there. So it's just, I think it just shows that it's never perfect. There's always ups and downs. And I think, if you, and there was also times when I even said to Dad, do I just like stop playing football? Just go in the gym, just try to get a bit bigger. And he was there, just said, no, just don't worry. Just keep working, keep practicing, keep doing what you're doing. And, once you grow and then that time will come. So, it is tough, but it is good learnings. It is, especially at that age, it's very heartbreaking when you're not selected, when you're not part of those teams, and that's your dream, and you want to achieve all those things. But I still went with Dad. We basically went, and also my mum would come as well, and my sister. We'd go and watch all the old NSL games. We basically didn't miss any of the Brisbane Strikers, which was our local team. We'd go every second week or whenever they played at home. We were there watching, so we were very much into it. Loved going to the football, and then I think it was very nice as well. Had my debut in Brisbane, came on, scored, then we got the win that day as well. So it was fantastic debut, and then to do it in front of all family and friends, it was a beautiful, beautiful moment.
Absolutely, and obviously, then you played for multiple different teams on quite a few different continents. So presumably that was a good experience of all the different cultures and everything that you can, now you're a coach, you can kind of take the bits that are useful and kind of mold them into how you operate now.
It is, and look, one thing with football especially is you can't plan tomorrow in football. You can plan your sessions, you can plan that, but you can never really plan what's next. And it's similar as a footballer. When I was in Germany, I sort of felt, the chance they wanted to renew me and to stay, but I wanted to just play and get a little bit of continuity, and there was a few things that were happening, at the club that you were sort of. There was a massive influx at the time when Argentina and all these ones, they had the Agueros, the Messis, and Germany was quite an older team that wasn't very successful at the World Cup. And after that, they sort of changed their way. And then the Khediras, the Mesut Özils, Tony Cruz, all these ones sort of were not pushed, I'd say, but there was a big emphasis on that junior development and playing more juniors. So they changed their sort of approach, how they wanted to go about it, and to sort of match up with the rest of the world that was developing. And look, what they done was brilliant. They won World Cups. They became a powerhouse. Many of these, players played for the biggest clubs in the world, some of the best players in the world. And that was probably a time when we were there. So, then going back to Australia, and then, from there, things happen, you play, and then back to Switzerland. And then towards the back end, it was maybe more also with a little eye towards coaching. So there was a move that never really eventuated. It was to go to China at the back end of my career, and it was to go a bit more like a player / with a coaching look. It was with a team in the CFG, because I was part of Melbourne City in the CFG at the time. But yeah, COVID sort of hit, and it was very, very hard to get over there. I stayed and trained in Melbourne with Melbourne City just to keep myself ready, and yeah, just sort of never really eventuated. So then there was an opportunity in the academy with the under-16s boys, and I just decided that was enough, in terms of football, and then I wanted to take that next step, and that was a good opportunity at the time.
Absolutely. So you mentioned about moving into sort of coaching. So you started coaching the boys, is that right?
Yes.
And then how long was it between sort of starting that journey to becoming head coach? I mean, obviously your dad was head coach of the women beforehand, but it seems like that all happened in a relatively short space of time.
It did happen, yeah, very, very quickly. So it was, I became the 16s boys coach it was a January or something like January, February. We got started, and then unfortunately that year was cancelled due to COVID. So we only done about half a season or something like that. And in Melbourne, we went into quite big lockdowns. You weren't able to leave within like a 5-kilometer radius or whatever it was at the time. So then that season got cut short. And then I remember I was just talking to Dad, and I just said, can I come and be with you? He was looking for an assistant at the time. It would have worked well as well with my family. So yeah, he just said yeah. And I think I wanted to be in that sort of environment, professional environment, and also just to learn from Dad in that environment, to see how he does it, the tactical side, traveling, how you manage all these different things, competing for points, trying to win championships, win grand finals. So that was sort of where I wanted to be, where I find the most excitement, and then also helping trying to develop the girls as much as possible. So we done one season together, and then yeah, he got a call when Paddy Kisnorbo he went overseas as the head coach from the men's side, and then they told Dad, and then they told me on the call that, and I think it was like 2 days before we travelled for round 1 in Wellington, that I would be taking over. I wasn't allowed to tell the girls until everything had been done on the men's side, because it was all trying to be kept under wraps. And then, yeah, we won the game, I think 4-0. And, I sort of called immediately. I said, can I please just tell them? And, got on the bus, told them the bad news that they were losing my dad. The good news that he was going to the men's side, which the girls were all really happy about. And then the bad news was that they were stuck with me now. So, so yeah, after the game, we took them out for a bit of ice cream, and it was from there it all, again, very quickly. And I think I've said about the story then with Brighton. I was, trying to get a head start on recruitment, so I was in charge of all of that, watching a lot of players, and I thought it was just a text that I was getting back from an agent, so I just opened it quite quickly that we were texting, and then as I started to read, saw that it was Mike Kay from Brighton, and just wanted to have a conversation with me. And well, he was actually chasing my agent, which I didn't have, so he said that was that's why they couldn't find anyone. So and then 3 nights later, I was offered the job, and here we are now.
So in terms of the, like you say, it's all been a bit of a whirlwind in a way. Did you feel ready to take on that role? Like you say, your dad went over to the men's side. Did you feel like, okay, this is a surprise, but I'm ready to go, or was it a bit like, okay, I'm kind of have to learn on the job a little bit here?
You learn on the job every single day. So I've improved a lot from last season, or from when I very first started, and that's always something that I want to strive for the players as well, that I can have better information from, help develop them better, develop us as a team. But I found out very quickly, I think once we got back, I think there was a lot of young players, and we wanted to play a little bit of an internal game. I think we might have had a bye that game or that week, and I didn't have an assistant coach at the time, so it was just me by myself. My goalkeeper coach came in. He had gastro, so he vomited in the morning. Quickly sent him, kicked him out the building, get out of here. And it ended up being just me, my S&C, and we had about 30 players. So I had to learn very, very quickly. But the girls were terrific, and I think that's football. Things can happen. We had, like, going into Tottenham earlier in the season, Moeka, she gets hurt. She's out like a day before the training. Fran's out that week. I think Maddie was out that week. Marit comes into the team. She's training. She gets injured basically the last kick of training. So you have to be adaptable with the good and sometimes the not ideal. And it challenges in different ways. So you try to have. You never want to have bad scenarios in your mind, but you got to be able to have these ways to go. And I think sometimes it's the old saying of it is what it is. You don't want to panic too much. You just try to stay somewhere in the middle. You don't want to go when everything's going fantastic. When we're beating City, Arsenal, you don't go too crazy, over celebrate it, change. And then the same thing when maybe times are a little bit tougher with results or injuries, or you just feel like everything's against you at the moment. You just want to try to stay right in the middle, because it has a way of flowing throughout a season. It's never perfect. It can never be perfect, and you hope for it to be, but you have to be ready that it won't be as well.
And then obviously, you were saying there about the Brighton situation. Was it obviously, I guess you had to sort of go and check with the family and stuff that it would be okay, but presumably, quite exciting. And was it almost like an instant, like, yes, and how do we do this? Or was there sort of a period where you had to kind of consider the logistics and everything? And what made you decide it was the right move?
Look, it was a quite quick one, because I was sitting on the couch and my wife was just very nearby next to me, and I just said to her, I remember I read it and I go, like, Brighton's just messaged me in the WSL, and I'm like, what do you think? Like, after I spoke to Mike, then he obviously told me about it a little bit more and that they were interested, and then I sort of just said, like, what do you think? And she's very easygoing with those things. I think she likes the adventure of it all, and to experience the world, to experience life. She followed me around as a footballer, so she's been to a few places, and she I think she just loves that as well, the experiences in life. So it was a fairly quick, okay, let's do it, and we'll figure it out as we go. And the kids are also really, really good. They've settled in really well. We've got a nice community here at the school, and they've made a lot of good friends. So it's been a great choice. But it was one, I think, it's a challenge, and it's a nice challenge to have, and what the club want to achieve. It's not easy, which is nice as well. So that forces you to, you have to think more, you have to find different solutions. You're challenged a lot more to try, get the club up to where it wants to be. And, we want to bring trophies, we want to win things, we want to leave our mark on history on the club. That's something that will never be taken away. We got very close at Wembley, and we hope that we can have that chance again in the future.
Absolutely. And did you? I need to know. Did Rebecca Stott, aka Stotty, did she give us a good review?
I think she did. Yeah, she was one that was mentioned because she came up to me. I kept it all fairly quiet. I didn't want to, tell too many people, that only the ones I need to know. But I remember I was at training. She was training with the boys at the time. It was during the off season, so we tried to get as many of our girls into the academy, the ones that were staying in Melbourne based, to continue working in the gym, and also to train then whichever category we thought was appropriate. So the younger ones would go and train with maybe the 14s, 15s academy boys. The ones that were a little bit older, they would train with the under 21s. So then they would be challenged, and and it was terrific for their development, spending a few months with the boys' academy, working, training, and still within the same idea of how we like to play. Maya, she came up to me one night and she goes, "Is this you? Is this about you?" And I just sort of said to her, "Yeah, look, it is." And she said, "Look, you'll be terrific there. You'll love it as well." So she gave, I think, a glowing review. So I'm very thankful to her as well.
Oh, good. Thanks, Stotty, if you're listening anywhere. Yes. So right, we'll go on to the next part. So obviously, you've taken the job at Brighton. What was the sort of experience of those kind of first few games, or the first sort of few months in charge? In a new country essentially, and a new league.
It's always, when you're bringing in new ideas at the start, the players will ask questions because some of the things was a little bit different. So you just try to show them why, you explain to them why, but sometimes they need to feel it, they need to experience it. So once we then get success from it, then they'll run through brick walls for you when what you tell them will help them. And I think that's the biggest thing as a coach. You want that what you do at training, that they can apply it to a game and be successful. So even though, if we take off the most recent game, we had success, we played really well, we created chances, we were the more dominant team, but in the end we just couldn't score. But I think the players still left feeling good. They still felt, obviously a disappointment that we couldn't get over the line, that we, naturally the disappointment losing a final, but there was still success there, that what we were trying to do was working. We were causing a very good team that are the champions of England. We were causing them lots of issues. They were trying to adapt, they were trying to change things, and we had solutions to all those things. So, that's always I feel like as a coach, you want to give your players the tools to have the answers for whatever may occur in a game. And, a game will start one way, and once you're dominating, it can change. So after the drinks break, then they try to lock on a little bit more player for player, try to make it a little bit more difficult. And then I thought we navigated that also quite well. And I think that's the biggest part. So early on, we're putting in a lot of new ideas. Some the first game was interesting, so they got a lot wrong in that, but then when we played the second game, and I don't think they've ever played like that, to dominate a team in the manner that we did. And I think after that, you could really see that was the turning point where they went, okay, this makes sense. This is going, I can't remember what the scoreline was that day. It was quite a big scoreline for us, but just the things that we've been working on, they were able to apply it. Dominated the game, and they all had a nice feeling after that. So that gave us good belief, good energy within the group, and then that helped us then just to keep building through that preseason. And then I think obviously round one, when we play Everton, we score 4, we win the game, and then from there that sort of gives you that launch pad. Then round 2, we go to City, we give them a terrific game, very, very hard fought. but again, just kept giving us belief that, okay, we've done it here. Now we've done it to City away. And also it was a different thing of saying, we're going there, we're playing, we're not going to sit back. We want to go for them. We want to possess the ball. We want to try to be dominant. And, you have to learn these things, similar to the first time when you go to the Emirates. So for me, it was also a learning curve where, you see the stadium, you think, it's just a stadium. But when you come in, it has that feeling of like you're in a Colosseum here. It feels like it's a little bit above you. And then you've got 27,000 fans there. It's loud. All of a sudden, the players can't hear me. And, and we got a few things wrong that night. Stuff that we worked on. We said, this is what Arsenal are going to do, but with their quality. So we had to experience the ugly as well to learn from that. And I think that's helped us take these steps to be where we are now.
Yeah, I must admit it's very refreshing, when you talk, because I'm obviously in, a lot of the press conferences, and you do tend to get the same questions to which you always give the same answers. About we're going to win. That's the main thing, and we're not going to worry about anything else until it is either impossible or possible. So we won't be looking at the table. I'm not going to tell you we're going to finish fourth in September. We'll see what happens at the end. And I think that sort of candidness is really refreshing. I know all the fans appreciate that, and I think that it emanates out to the fans, because we feel like we can beat anyone. We feel like we shouldn't get too hung up on the table until the end of the season. So I think that's fantastic. I never mind hearing you say it again, but I know you must sometimes be like, oh, I've got to say it. I've got to do the same answer.
I think the biggest thing is, like, we have to protect the idea, the way we want to play. So, could we have gone to Wembley and maybe tried to sit off a little bit more? But I feel like you're doing something that you've not done for the whole season. Yes, we can defend well. We have defended well, but I don't think that would suit us. We want to possess the ball. We want to try to dominate. We want to play in the opponent's half. If the game gets too transitional, that doesn't suit us. We're not that type of squad. We've probably got Maddie and Kiko that could potentially suit a transitional style. But for the rest, it probably doesn't suit their skill set and how good they are. When you've got a midfielder, Fran, Yelena, and Maisie, they're possession-based footballers that want to, that are comfortable on the ball, that want to play, that take up good pockets of space, that can evade pressure. So we always want to play to the strengths, and also we want to stick by that. So I think it would take a lot away from the players if I now said, listen, we're going to now sit back and try playing transition. You sort of lose everyone. You sort of say, I don't believe in you in the biggest game in the season. So we had an idea. We worked on it even more. We tried to evolve it even more. And, I think that was the really good thing, that in 2 weeks they were able to apply all that, and also then to do it on the biggest stage. And, we don't want to change. Do we change slightly? Yes, based on the opponent, based on who we're dealing with. Like, we can't deny the fact that Bunny Shaw is up there. So then we changed the press a little bit. We tried to have two on her. She's so good at holding up the ball. She's just physically so big. So you have to respect that. So we can't just lock on man for man, leave her isolated one-on-one. She's world-class at it. So, and if she gets past you, then you got Lauren Hemp, one of the fastest players, running in behind. Carolyn's also lightning, running in behind. And so we have to adapt slightly, but always the principle or the main idea, that will always remain the same.
Absolutely. And obviously after the game, Fran spoke to the press, and I think probably you said along the same lines about, maybe we just need a little bit more experience in those situations. And I guess to a certain extent, some of those players will now have that experience. But how challenging is it to kind of balance, wanting to bring through younger players and give them opportunities versus, having that experience on the pitch where, they might be a little bit of a cooler head in stormier waters, sort of thing?
It's good to have a balance, I think. It's always nice for younger players to have those ones around them, to have, a friend going into a Wembley final that's been there, that's done it, that's, you look to her, you see she's calm, she's doing everything the same, and it's probably not just on the field, it's also off the field when they're sitting next to each other at lunch, or in the change room, or they're in the gym, or they're in the physio room, or, you know, then to ask, oh, what's that day like? What's the preparation like? What's the atmosphere in the stadium like? What was it like to, you know, win? What was it maybe like when you didn't win at Wembley? So it's all these different things that, you know, experience is the best teacher to go through that. And I'm sure this season it's going to teach us a lot, and it has taught us a lot. And that game in particular, that you know, we've been there now, we've done it. We now have that fire that we want to be there again. So we know what it's like. We know how difficult it is to get there. So if that can get a couple more, bit more a percentage or so more out of the players, you know, I think it's again something to be celebrated, that, you know, the things that we're doing. But, you know, for us, when you look around now and you're already starting to hear, you know, Alexia Putellas going to London City, Mape Leon already at London City, I think, or very close to it. You know, Tottenham, they just snapped up Shakira Martinez and Kirsty Hansen, probably two of the best players in the squads that finished a little bit lower. So, you know, teams are really starting. And Liverpool, you know, what they've done in January, also the players that they've already signed. You know, Vivian Enderman, that's a German international, very good player. And I'm sure there's just going to be more and more, because I said it when I first arrived, and it's only getting more and more. It's the best league in the world. It's the most competitive league in the world. And as a player, as a coach, you want to compete against the best. You want to be part of the best. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if there's even more that we're like, wow, okay. And now I think it's up to us that we sustain that. We also bring players that can compete, and that we can, you know, keep taking the steps that we are, and stay, you know, with that pack, and try hunt down that top four as well.
Yeah, I'm going to circle back, I think, to the to next season right at the end, so we can give everyone a nice boost into the off season. I wanted to just ask a couple of questions about, like, the fans, and what's it been like seeing the fan base grow? I think particularly away from home, and then obviously culminating in the amount of people that we had at Wembley. You know, what's that been like for you personally, and also for the team?
It's been quality, just to see it over 2 years, and some of the best atmospheres have been at Broadfield. Some of those games where you just feel the energy, you feel the whole place. Even you know, the probably both Arsenal games, the one that finished the season two years ago, or 2 seasons ago, and then also the one where the girls played on the Wednesday midweek before Liverpool. And so there's even the City game. So, you know, it feels like it's just continuous to grow. But the thing I'm probably most proud of is, you know, we travel so far away. We know how hard it is. We know how tough it can be. And then we come out and we see our supporters there. They're loud. They're making noise, and that just naturally gives you an energy. So, you know, it doesn't matter. Sometimes it doesn't need to be thousands. It's just, you know, you know, it's your people are there, familiar faces that are with you. Doesn't matter what happens. And I think we've always felt that. And one message I have is, let's just try and make them proud. Let's just make them proud with the performance. The result is, that's the one thing that's never guaranteed in sport, or at least in football. I'm sure we've all watched so many games where we've gone, wow, how on earth did they not win that game? And also the other way, going, wow, how did we win that game? We were terrible. So, you know, as long as the intent is there, that we work hard, that, you know, that we're us at the end of the day, that we could put on any jersey, but our fans can go, no, you're trying to trick us. We know that's you. I think that's the most important thing, because, you know, we go out there, everyone wants to win. Everyone goes out. Everyone wants to play the best game that they've ever played. I think that's just natural, but it's not always possible. We're all human. Sometimes there's things that happen. You might sleep really, really bad. You know, fire alarm goes off in the hotel. You know, something happens. You might have to be dealing with things off the field. But one thing that it's what's cruel sometimes is that once you step over that white line, unfortunately, there's just no excuses. There's no one that comes to you after and puts a microphone and says, "Oh, did you sleep well last night? Did you have a great week? Is your body feeling 100%?" You know, no one asks those questions. So that was maybe the mentality that we had to change. And I've experienced that as a footballer. I've played games where you probably shouldn't even be on the field, but unfortunately, no one's going to ask me after the game, were you okay? Were you 100%? Because the moment you step on that field, you're there. There's no more excuses now that can be made. So sometimes it's that little shift in mentality that can make the big difference, that you go, you know what? All right, I got a dead leg. I took a heavy tackle, but it is what it is. I have to get on with it. I have to put that in the back of my mind, and I just have to go as long as I possibly can. So these are the other things, the psychological side, that we're also trying to teach. And I'm lucky enough, I've experienced a lot that I can try put down to the girls. And that's the biggest one, that, you know, once we step on the line, we want to be us. We want to make sure that it's clear that we're there. And, you know, we want to win. We have that mentality. We want to go out and try to win. And at the very least, if we can have a performance that's worthy of, you know, your guys' effort, to support us, to travel, for Liverpool, you would have left at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, gave up your whole weekend, hard-earned money to get up there to support us. I think then the very least is that we can be, us, and then at least make you proud in that fact that you go, I want to do that again. I want to go. It doesn't matter where we go. We want to follow this team, and we want to be with them and cheering them on.
Absolutely. And I think we feel that back. So that, that's one of the reasons why, it's not the sole reason we do it, but that's one of the major reasons we do it is, because if you don't go to that Liverpool game, you would have missed an incredible game. If you don't, I almost didn't go to the Arsenal FA Cup quarterfinal, and I did. And I was kicking myself afterwards thinking, how could you question like whether we were going to win that game or, so no, it's an incredible team. It's an incredible group of people to be fans of. So thank you so much for that. Is there anything from a fan perspective that we could do more of, or that you think, is it just trying to grow the fan base, more people? Is there anything from our perspective that we could do more of, do you think?
Look, I don't think so. I think, in terms of what you guys have already done is tremendous. And it's not just, you guys are now in charge of, you have to grow the fan base. You have that sort of responsibility. I think it's a collective, as a club, as a team, football is entertainment. I'm sure you want to come out, watch some good football. And that's where I feel like a bit of a responsibility, that we want people to say, you know what, I want to go and watch them. I want to go and travel and watch, because I know I'm going to watch a good game of football. I know they're going to give absolutely everything. I want to be proud to wear the Brighton jersey. I want to be proud to, be in the middle of town midweek and have that jersey on and talk about it. And so, that's our responsibility. And I think if we can keep growing that, and I'm sure, and I hope, what we've done at Wembley, even though on the result, my son had a tournament on the weekend just here in Stenning, and there were a lot of parents that came up and just said, like, the girls played terrific. It was so good to watch. And, even though sometimes you can go, okay, 4-0, and who wants to go and watch us lose 4-0? But I think the endeavour was there, the performance was there. Some of the football that the girls played was terrific. And that's part of it. That's sport. It's an escape sometimes. Sometimes it's a chance to, even for me, what I've dealt with this season with with Dad and what he went through, and football's an escape when you go onto the field and you go on the match day, and it's a chance for those maybe 2 hours that nothing else is happening in the world. And so I think it's important that we also take responsibility of that we can bring a lot of joy to people's lives. We can, not me per se, but the players. I'm sure there'll be girls in and there might be young boys as well that might talk about that day, and that inspired me. That was, I went home and I practiced, and I was Fran Kirby, I was Yelena in the garden, I was Maddie at Wembley. And so we won't know the effects of it for perhaps a couple of years, when that we might be there again. And one of the players in the team, homegrown, has said, I was there that day, or I watched that game, and that made me want to be there as well. So we won't know all the effects of it, even though the result wasn't what we wanted. But I think there's still so much positive of it. There was so many, children, boys and girls that were going that day that were watching, and then hopefully the football would have inspired them. The occasion would have inspired them to want to be there and to achieve that themselves one day as well.
Perfect. We won't keep you too much longer. I just thought for a bit of fun, we'd do some sort of rapid fire questions just to find out a little bit more about you, and your personality. And so the first few are just random ones, and then I've got some ones about the team. Excuse me. So, early bird or night owl?
Sometimes both, if I'm honest. Yeah, I'm up quite early sometimes. So if I manage a little sleep in, it's always nice. But I'm usually up at 6 a.m. Sometimes a little bit earlier.
I'm sure the kids are waking you up sometimes as well, ready to go to school. Phone call or text?
Sometimes, yeah, probably phone call. It's a little bit depending on if it can be quick, then it's a text. But if it needs a bit more talking, then I just prefer to call and say everything, and then we can be done with it.
Yeah, sometimes you think you get a few texts in, and you think, yeah, I should have just phoned. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Dogs.
Probably, to be fair, neither, because I get a little bit allergies from them. So, but if I had to choose, it would be dogs.
Okay, got you. Window seat or aisle?
Aisle.
Aisle.
Just so I can get up and stretch the legs a little bit.
Burger or pizza?
Ooh. Might have to be half there. I do enjoy both sometimes. So, yeah. But if I had to pick, I'd probably. Oh, that's a tough one now.
I know. I was thinking the same when I came up with it.
Because there are very good pizzas, but then also if you get like a nice steak burger or a nice chicken burger, oh wow, that's a good. Right now, I'd probably lean to burger. If I had to choose right now, I'd lean to burger.
Yeah, I was thinking you get more variety with pizza because of all the different toppings, but I think the best burger would be nicer than the best pizza. I don't know. That's how I think of it anyway. Biggest fear?
Other than the most obvious ones, maybe snakes. I've never really liked snakes and reptiles.
I think Charlie said the same thing, because obviously
from Australians, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously everyone from the UK thinks, oh, they've got all the animals over there. They've got spiders, snakes. Yeah, I'm sure they all love them over there. And it's like, no, actually, Australian people don't like snakes either. So that's quite good to know. Cinema or Netflix?
I don't watch much, to be fair, movies wise, but I'd probably say Netflix. Stay at home, nice and relaxed.
Got it. Most famous person in your phone contacts?
Oh, I'll say Fabian Herzler.
Oh, good one. Good call. Keep it on brand.
Yep.
Tim Tam or Kit Kat?
Oh, I'll go Tim Tam for the Australians.
It's got to be, hasn't it? And then this one could be controversial, depending on whether you're a fan of either or both. Cricket or rugby?
Go rugby. I'll go rugby.
Okay. It's a similar shaped ball, isn't it? It's just more elongated, so it makes sense. So these are a couple of ones about the team, but feel free to defer if there's not a definitive answer. Most likely to become a manager?
Maybe Yelena. She's doing her A license currently, so, and she's quite into it. I think Fran could be as well, but I'm not too sure if that's the path she wants to go down. But I've always said to her she's very, very intelligent. So those are probably the two that would jump off the page right now.
Got you. Yeah, absolutely. Most likely to fall asleep on the bus?
Well, that's a tough one, because usually the girls will travel in their bus, we'll be in a separate one. So
what about on your bus then? Is there
when we have been together, when we travel closer, if anyone has fallen asleep? I'm not too sure with that one, to be honest. I haven't seen them enough.
Any of the coaches liable to nod off?
Chris Roberts.
Oh, we love Chris.
Definitely, that's an easy one.
Most likely to make everyone laugh.
Probably Bex Rayner.
Good call. She's the sort of, is she a sort of a prankster, or she's just more likely to do something that just makes everyone
She's just a terrific character. She's like excellent with everyone. Her and Yelena have a good connection. So they do a lot of that Jim Skin. Don't know if you guys know about him. So they've done a lot of that like shoulder roll, and there's a few videos of that, especially after Liverpool and that. So they're quite good for the group, and they get everyone laughing, especially Bex.
Most likely to arrive first for the day.
Maybe Yelly again.
She's an all-rounder, isn't she, Yellow?
She is, yeah. No, look, she's very, very professional in everything that she does. Maddie's another one. So Maddie really looks after herself. She'll be in a lot on days off, just doing recovery, doing everything that she needs. Fran's similar. So I think all of them have taken good ownership of it. Something that we've spoken about. You want to be out there, you want to be playing, you want to be training, you want to be competing. So it's they've all been terrific. So I don't always see them. I'm usually in my office in the morning working away, getting ready for training. But yeah, I don't think I've ever had a problem other than like traffic or a crash or something like that. But I don't think ever as a player arrived late. So they've all been really, really good. They're always on time. So really, really good group.
Most likely to survive a zombie apocalypse. We've got some tough characters there that would don a bit of commando paint.
Well, that's a good question. I don't know how they'd go with zombies, though, the girls.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You know what, Maylise, maybe. We'll go Maylise. When she tackles, the girls are scared of us. I think the zombies would also stay away from her.
That would be our number one move to defeat them. And the final one, most likely to have the cleanest boots.
Oh, they all look after their boots, to be fair. They all give them a good scrub at the end. Some of them are a little bit dirty, but I don't know whose they are all the time. But the girls, they take good care of themselves and their boots. They look after it. So that's a hard one to say. I usually see most of them cleaning them.
Got to look after them, haven't you?
That's it. Maybe not for some of them. They get every week a new pair.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there was a video, I think, with when Nadine signed, and I think it might have been Fran walked past her and said something about her boots, and Nadine said, "Oh, I don't have a boot deal" or something. And then they were like, and they were like sort of going back and forth. But of course now I think the WSL provides them, but I'm sure Nadine is well all right now, especially after her goal against Liverpool. People will be crying out to sponsor her boots because they were on fire that day. I'm just going to bring in Ben very quickly. I think he has a question. So let me unmute. Ben, did you want to jump in with something?
Yeah, I sort of kept thinking I ought to, but I didn't want to interrupt the flow. It's just something. I mean, it's in the sort of notes and everything, but you didn't touch on it. It's just, I mean, obviously you're from a sort of bilingual household anyway, and you've played sort of in various countries around the world, but we've got a very multinational squad. There's a lot of good English in there, but I think a lot of not so good English. I mean, how do you cope sort of with the languages and the cultures as well? And I also want to add, I mean, I sit quite near the bench. I love it when you yell to Yelly on the pitch, because I mean, I think Serbian and Croatian are slightly different, but very similar variations on the theme, aren't they? And it's almost like a little code you've got together. But yeah, I mean, obviously, how do you get by with all the different cultures and languages in the squad?
The most important thing is just that they have an understanding. So even for the English-based ones, some they need to see it and feel it on the field. Some might need the magnets. Some might need an animation. Some might need a video example. So even with the ones that are, say, fluent in English, they all learn a little bit differently sometimes. So with the ones that, like maybe the Japanese girls, I might go to Moe and Kiko to help hooker. And then I'll just double check that they understand, that it's clear. But we try to put a lot of ownership back to the group to always finish every meeting with, if there's any questions, you can ask now. If you feel a little bit, shy to ask him maybe in front of the whole group, or maybe you think you feel silly, come see me, come see one of the coaches. Like it's no issue. So we want to have that understanding. We want everyone to know exactly what their roles are. And then, like with Yelly, sometimes, during the game, I'll just speak to her. So if I have to yell it out that the opposition can't hear, so then she just gets the message either to her, or can you pass it on to maybe Kiko or to Fran or to Maisie or whoever needs to hear it, then she can get them together and quickly tell them whatever that message is. Or so she's that one where I can link where not too many will understand me. And, so it gives us that little slight advantage.
Love that.
Okay, well, we'll move into the last bit, which is just to talk a little bit about next season. So, quite a broad question, but what do you think success looks like for next season?
I think just progress. It's again, it's hard to. I think we have to see at the start. We have to then take the season into context. So it'd be easy to say again, was this season past worse or off than the one before because we went from 5th to 7th, but with context you'd probably say it's been equally as good. We did get to Wembley as well. We went on a cup run. So you always have to take everything into context. That's why I don't like doing it on a week to week, because 1 week you can be 11th, 5 weeks later you can be 4th. So and vice versa. You can go from high, you can drop very, very quickly. So we want to take everything into context, and I always like to do that at the end of a season, or I always review it, maybe in the international breaks along with every other game, but then you have a chance then to really look back, reflect, and then also prepare for the next block. But it's it's always it's a day-to-day process, but I think over the course of a season we just want to see progress. We want to see improvement. The team, taking steps in the right direction, and that we continue to improve on what we're doing.
Do you think there's a possibility that some of the players who have had quite a successful season in the academy could feature more next season, or do you think it's maybe still a little bit too soon for some of them?
Look, we hope so, and that is always the idea, that we want to promote from within, but they have to be ready for the level. We've had many that have trained with us for quite a lot, like Emily Gay, she's trained a lot. Gracie McEwen, she's also, after her ACL, she's training really, really well. Taylor Warren as well, just another one that's come, but she's got some little bit of like growing pain. So some of them we have to be conscious of. We have to look after. It's also a really big jump when you go from academy football to first team football. So that's something that we're talking about. We're trying to bridge that gap, so to speak. So the way they train, the intensity levels that they try to bring themselves, and then it is always difficult when you jump from academy, and then Fran Kirby's there, Yelena's there, Maylise, Caitlin's, Moekas. If you're an attacker, you're against them now. But it takes time. It takes time. We were really excited about Miyabama. Unfortunately, she's been injured. She done her ACL, so she'll be out now for a little bit. But she's one that we were hoping for to have a good, make good steps this season. Unfortunately, she won't be able to do that. But in the future, we hope for that. But it's just once they're ready, we tried to. I wanted to give them opportunities in the League Cup. They deserve their chance to play. It's also an opportunity to feel that environment, to play, to prepare for a game of that context. And many of them done really, really well. So it's just now, sometimes we try to reflect, is it better to go maybe on loan to really compete for a year, to have that experience? Some, it's maybe better to stay and compete and to learn, to develop, and then maybe go out on loan. So each one we have to take on its own context, on their own development, what's best for them at that given time. Also, what players are in front of them. Is there a pathway to the first team at this specific time? Is it better than to go and to get that maybe elsewhere? But, so we try to take each one on its merit and try to do what's best to try to get, as many of them potentially into the first team as possible.
That's great. And so lastly, just what should Brighton fans be most optimistic about going into next season? What should they be looking forward to go and get their season tickets and make sure they're there for every game next season?
Well, hopefully Wembley was a taste of what's to come next season in regards to the football, in regards to us with and without the ball, and we want to just develop on that. We'll see how the recruitment goes, what players come in eventually, and we always want to play to players' strengths. I don't want to say we have to do this, but someone's not as good at that as maybe something else. So once we know who's in, how the squad looks like, then it's easier. But again, the main idea will remain the same. But we want to try to just progress our football, take the next steps, and just try to evolve how we play.
Fantastic. Any other questions, guys, for Dario? No. Oh, Ben's got one. Hold on. Ben, go ahead.
Yeah, I possibly not really necessarily a question. It's just, I think, you always talk about the fact that we go out to try and win every game. And I think as Brighton fans, that's what we love, because we after the last sort of season or so, we think we can win every game now. We don't. We went to Wembley as underdogs, but we knew we could win. And I think that's the difference between us and a lot of clubs that are outside that top four, where some teams want to play football and some teams want to stop the opposition from playing football. And I love being a fan of the team that tries to play football, even if it doesn't always work. And I think I forgot what I was going to try and say, but yeah, there's so many games this season where you can sort of say, well, this is where we lost it, this is where we could have won it. And I think we all feel that there's just this sort of one little missing ingredient, like we haven't got an established number 9. That was one thing. We conceded those 2 goals to London City, but had we had a proper number 9, we probably would have been 4 up, so it wouldn't have mattered so much. So I hope you see progress, because we really do. We obviously, bang, your first game in charge, we beat Everton 4-0, and that was like, whoa, is this the same club? And it's not, it's been ups and downs since then, but we think, we feel like we're a better team now than we were 2 years ago. So we're, I hope you see that there's a missing ingredient, maybe that number 9 and the odd player here and there. But are you happy with the progress?
Yeah, I am, and I think the way we want to play, I think that's your best sort of way to stay established in that top half of the table or in the top 4. And also I think it just suits the players that we have. It's the type of football I like to play, and that's what it's all about. It's just that it's probably a bit of a boring word, the process, and sometimes managers say that to buy themselves some time. And I understand that it is a results business, but I think this is the best way to get the results. It's also entertaining because we are growing as well. We're not a let's say a established Premier League team that you could change Fabian and bring, say, a defensive coach that could sit back and play on transition. The Amex would still be sold out and people would still be coming. So this is all part of it, and we want to play a nice brand of football. But I think that's successful football as well. That's what gives you success. Even if you look to the men's side, City, who dominated for a long time with that way of playing, Barcelona. It's usually these teams and you'd probably have the odd anomaly of a transitional team, but they sort of, they're there and then they fall off fairly quickly because it's like, what do you do when you go 1-0 down? It's good when you go 1-0 up, you can play transition, but when you go 1-0 down, you can't sit back anymore. You can't just, because the other team will just keep it, and if you don't touch the ball, it's very hard to score. So. And, I think it's enjoyable for the players to play, to have the ball. It's a little bit of how I was as a player. I think my coaching, even when we didn't have the ball, I would just run and press by myself and try to force the other team to kick it away and to get us back on it and to play that way. It was always for me was the most enjoyable. I always loved to have the ball at my feet. So it's sort of a little bit of everything mixed in, but it's just sort of, I think it's the football that's for players most enjoyable, for people to watch the most enjoyable, and also for me to coach, it's the most enjoyable. Trying to find solutions, then maybe take solutions away from the opponent. We want to still do that. We understand that, we want to defend, and I've got that, like, it was last year not last year, the season before, when we lost 5-0 to Arsenal, and I read somewhere that they said, like, I don't do defending, that I didn't have to, that I don't think about it, and it's like that Michael Jordan meme, and I took that personally. So I'm very much in every single phase invested, and I'm probably more invested without the ball than with the ball, but because the idea is to dominate the game with the ball. So we want to try to have 60-70% of the ball, 80, 90, 100 if we can. It's not possible, but as much as we possibly can, because then you have to defend less, and the best way to defend is to have the ball.
Excellent.
Lovely. And then Claire has a question as well.
Yeah, Dario, it's more of just a statement like Ben, really. I was just going to say, I think all of us were a few seasons ago at a game where Brighton lost 8-0. And so to kind of now be just a couple of seasons later going to Wembley and, even, pardon me, even losing, it was still such a monumental experience, I think, for all of us, that I just wanted to say thanks very much and keep doing it, because it's great.
No, thank you. Really appreciate it. I think, if we talk about that, like that context again of it, and it was similar for me when the first time when I arrived and we played City away, and then now, like a season later, to play them the way we did at Wembley, it just shows the growth, how well the team is, the steps that we've taken, because, in such a short amount of time, although the result doesn't maybe reflect it, but I think the performance really shows that, we can cause problems, we can play, and that's sort of now the next step is to have the performances along with the results.
Yeah, absolutely. I was at that Man City game, and because I think it was one of the ones where I had this mad moment of saying I'm going to go to every game this season, and I think there was like 6 of us that was there. So again, even with the fan base, to sort of see in that just one season how quickly that grew as an away fan, that was just, a lot of it was down to fans were getting people come along. But a lot of it was built off of the performances on the pitch, and that was what was exciting to us. And it's dragged people out. And a lot of people said, it was FOMO. They could hear us on the TV, and they were watching it, and were like, "Why am I not there?" And it's like, it's all down to really what you've brought to the team. I think as a manager, in the way that you have changed the style of play, because it is exciting now. It is. We can see that there is something happening all the time. We know what we're going to do, what we should be doing. Sometimes it's not always possible, but there's not often now we come away going, well, that was a bleeding rubbish result. A lot of the times we can always find that positive, and it's just been really, really exciting to watch it.
No, thank you, appreciate that.
And Abby, did you want to jump in?
I do. It is actually a question. One of the things I've noticed over the last couple of seasons is that there seems to have been a mindset shift from that, it's a big stadium, we can't play in it, or it's a top 4 team, or we're down 2-0, we can't possibly come back. That seems to have gone. Is that something you've consciously worked on, on the training ground, in the dressing room, behind the scenes? Or is it just a natural byproduct of the process that you're going through and pushing forward, and your approach to every single game?
Maybe a little bit of both, but there was something that I said, and I said it to the group as well before we went to Wembley. I just said, anyone, anywhere, anytime. So if you want to play in the car park, we'll play there. So, and the biggest thing my biggest message to the group was, even though we're in Wembley, we have to try to take our minds, and it's like we're on the training ground. We're playing on the training ground. The tension is sort of gone, because once you get to a match day, that's when the tension grows. That's where you go, oh, okay, it's not, but the teams that can go, you know what, I do this every day. I do this at training. It works. We know we can do it. And I think that was the most pleasing thing for me as well as a coach, that it felt like we were just a training. The way they played under that pressure, and when you walk out, you know what a big game is, but you don't really know until you're in there and it's really happening in the moment. So I think that's why at the start when I said with you guys and the fans, and when that Albion rang around Wembley, I think that would have just filled them with an energy to say, you know what, let's do this now. This is fun. This is where we want to be. This is where we've imagined ourselves. And that was the message, not just going into Wembley, but into every single game. There's always a different challenge. When you play maybe teams that are from a lower division, my message is always, do not let them get on the bus and say, how on earth do they play in the WSL? So the message is now they need to get on the bus and go, Jesus, I'm a very long way away from the WSL. They are unbelievable. So that there's always, with different games, it's different mindsets, different mentalities, but so, and that's something I learned as a player. I wanted to have that effect, even if it was a friendly game. You want to show, okay, this is it. This is the level that, we can't go down. We have to continuously go up. And it shifts everywhere. But I think the most important was that one that I said, we'll play anyone, wherever you want, at any time that you want. And if we just keep taking that mentality, then that helps us. If we're, training ground for a friendly, if we're at Broadfield, if we're at the Emirates, we're at Wembley, it's the same. So we had the pitch dimensions the same as Wembley leading in. So really nothing changes. Everything's the exact same. When we play at 11v11, the only difference is there's 40,000 people around us. But once you get into the game, you don't really realize that, except in some moments when the ball's out, there's a stoppage, then you or you feel the momentum, you hear your crowd, but you're not there for 90 just watching the atmosphere. You feel it at times, but most of the other time you're locked in, you're thinking about your role, what's next, what do I need to do? And that's something we talk about, the next moment. Don't live in the previous moment. Quickly change it and think about what's next. So that was also with the first goal. We've given the ball away, it goes for a throw in. We didn't switch on. They quickly take the throw, cross to the back post. We know that Bunny likes to go to the back post. So it was all things that we should have done better at. But again, it's just these moments that sometimes they're the ones that can be the defining factor. So we can say, okay, Chi went to catch it. Okay, Bunny's leaped unbelievably well. Perfect header. She took away no contact on the keeper. So, you have to give her credit as well. On another day, she probably just punches that and it's 0-0. We play on. But I like to look back a few actions prior. And I think Charlie had possession. We gave it away. We were slow to react on the throw in. They throw it into Greenwood. She's got time. She delivers to the back post. And then we concede from that. So it's not always the direct moment. Sometimes it's the moments prior. And then also we want to look at how do we react? How are we then the moment after we concede in a big moment? And I was fairly happy with how it was. Okay. We then got back onto the front foot. We put pressure on. And then, we concede a free kick after that, which again can happen. But, I think these were the good progression, good steps now the next ones are just like, once we're winning, we've shown that we can, if we go down, we're still there, we're still competing. But I think now the next step is like when we're winning, how do we just continue playing? How do we not take, how do we take the momentum, take the life out of the opponent, where it's like, shit, you go 2-0 down, it's game over. You're not touching the ball now. Doesn't matter how many plays you commit, we can still pin you back. We can still find the solutions. But, once teams get desperate, again, it almost becomes a mentality thing. How many numbers are there? What's happening? Are they crossing from far, from deep? What areas are we protecting? So there is a lot still to learn. And I think that's the exciting part, that there is still many more steps that the team can take.
And we'll be there for every step of it. Yeah, I want to say thank you so much, Dario. It means a massive amount to us. I know it will mean a massive amount to the fans, because we love hearing from you, and just to find out a bit more about yourself and the process and everything is just so valuable. So I just want to say thank you very, very much for your time.
No, look, thank you for having me on, and I'm sure I'll talk on behalf of the club, the girls. I know from myself, the staff. We want to also say a huge thank you to you guys, to all the fans, everyone that's been with us every step of the way. It's been fun, and I think at home, and I'm sure the girls, we love to see you guys. It fills the place with an energy. It's like, okay, we're here now. We're all together. Now it's time to go. And Wembley was a really nice day, and I think that's something that will live with me. That atmosphere, seeing the fans, the tifo as well was a beautiful touch. Was a big thank you, but just the atmosphere, and doesn't matter what the result was. Albion's ringing around Wembley. It's very hard to get there. And, I think we've created some really, really nice memories. So I'm, very, very thankful to the fans, to you guys for all of that, and throughout my 2 years here. But, on another one, congratulations to you guys on 100 episodes. So when I saw that, I thought that would be pretty cool to jump on that. And, and it's hopefully just a small way to say thank you for all the support. And, we look forward to doing it all again.
Well, there we go. Dario Vidosic, ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry, just getting changed back. Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah. Magic of television.
It's magic.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely incredible. Very, very kind of Dario to give up his free time, especially as he's definitely earned himself a break away from football for a good while. But I think one of the things that I took from that interview, obviously, he's a very honest guy, and he will talk about the different elements of football, but also he was very happy to talk about how he sort of came up through football and his coaching experiences and stuff. But just the sort of the sheer enjoyment that he has in talking about football is really good to see. Abby, was that would you say that was one of the things that came through from the interview?
Oh, absolutely. You can 100% see that this is somebody who eats, sleeps, drinks, breathes for football, and you can sort of see his football intelligence coming at you. And I think that's why the three of us were just quiet. It's the longest the three of us have consecutively been quiet.
Yeah.
But apart from the fact you told us to be quiet, but it was just it was just a joy to sit and listen to him, and what he was saying. And and I know we've said this sort of offline as well, but there were no sort of one word answers or just quickly this, that, and the other. Everything was a really good in-depth answer. Honestly, I think he could have probably just carried on talking all day about football. He's just a guy who loves football, loves this team, and wants to share that with us. So I just thought it was incredible.
Yeah, he went really in depth, obviously, on the team and speaking about things like that. But I thought, Claire, it was nice of him to sort of talk about, obviously we know his dad passed away, Brighton fans know and everything, but it was good to hear some good stories from his childhood about his dad and his mum, because like I said in the podcast, if your dad's a footballer and you're a footballer, then people will always ask you about your dad, and I think that kind of it steers it away from another very important person in his life, which is his mum. So it was good to sort of hear him, that he was happy to sort of talk about that and his upbringing and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think he just comes across as just a really nice guy, and he's clearly had an amazing family that's created that in him. So but every time I've ever spoken to him, whether it's been at a game or on the podcast like that, it's like he has time, and he wants to listen, and he wants to be part of it all, and he wants us to be part of it all, and as fans and stuff. And I just think it's how you build that connection, isn't it, between the fans, the players, the club, the team, everything. And I think he's just a really, really nice guy, but on top of that, he's a really, really good football manager. And we're very, very lucky to have him, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I've said before, never mind the players. Like, when I've listened to him in press conferences and stuff, and obviously even more so, being able to speak to him for an hour or so, it makes me want to run through a brick wall for him. Never mind the players. The players obviously do. But Ben, it's kind of that you just get this feeling of certain people, don't you, that they're really good sort of motivators, but also they're people, they're people persons. No, that doesn't make sense. But do you know what I mean? Like he's not like he's not there going saying like, oh yeah, come on, do this, do that, blah blah blah. Like you might say a motivator would be, but it's almost more his words and his actions and his ethos that makes you. It's not an overt motivation. It's just where you think, I want to help this guy. I want to do whatever I can for this guy. It's you'd probably be able to put your finger on it better than me. But what would you say about that kind of the almost the gravitas that he brings?
Yeah, I think. Well, it's just. I mean, as we all said, I mean, he's just a football guy. He loves his football. He's enthusiastic about football. He just oozes sort of knowledge and experience. Well, actually, experience. He's only been managing a few years, hasn't he? So, but he just oozes football, and that sort of enthusiasm, coupled with with his his knowledge and his whatever, it's obviously rubbed off on the players and on this side of the club and on the other side of the club as well, because obviously he's very good friends with Fabian Hertler, the manager of the men's team. So I mean it's just it just is, isn't he? He just lives, breathes, and whatever's football. I mean, I do wonder. Obviously, the players are mostly on holiday or international camps at the moment. He can't go on holiday because his kids are still in school. So he was probably at a bit of a loose end.
These will keep me entertained.
Yeah, he's just looking around, going, "I want to talk to the football. If I talk to my wife about football again, she's gonna kill me or whatever." So
I need a fresh audience.
Find someone else to. But yeah, I mean, he just wants to talk about football, doesn't he? I mean, some of the stuff that we were chatting, again, it's almost a shame we weren't recording, but some of it possibly should have stayed off the record. But not that there were any huge bombshells. But I think he almost seemed like he just really wants to have a good natter about the cup final.
Yeah.
Because obviously, I think they'd had the sort of after match stuff and things, and then everybody had just dispersed. And I think maybe he had another chance to sit down and go, "Oh, this happened and that happened. Oh, we were unlucky here and." Oh, they were lucky with that. So yeah, I think as you guys said, it almost felt like we're tapping our watches, going, "Come on, mate."
Yeah, yeah.
It's supposed to be like an hour.
It was more like
no question, Dario.
It was more like sort of looking at our watches, thinking, "Is he like? Does he want to get out of here now?" Or like, I think I'll obviously have to watch it again, but I do recollect that I did say a couple of times like, "Oh, we won't keep you too much longer," because I was sort of I was trying to give him a bit of an out if he needed it. Like, "Oh yes, I have got to go and do this," but no, he stayed.
And again, I mean, as Claire said, after the games and stuff, I'm not sure if it happened immediately he got here, but he's especially away games and stuff, he goes and shakes everybody's hands and stuff, and he's always eager to sort of have a bit of a chat after the game and exchange opinions about stuff, sometimes about the referee.
I remember actually when he did start doing that, because I think it was the Manchester United game away, and we had played quite terribly, and we were 3-0 down, lost the game. There was 11 of us. We made a lot of noise. And I think that was the first time he came over, and he was like, he shook everybody's hand and thanks us all for coming. And then from then on, he's done it almost every game.
Yeah.
And I think it's been one of those things where I think that and the Arsenal game, because I know he mentioned the Arsenal game. I think those are the two moments where the fans and the players finally kind of were like, "Oh, we're all on the same side here."
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to be mad at us for losing, and we're not going to scream and shout at them for losing, and we're going to support you no matter what. Yeah. And I think it was at that sort of around that sort of point that I think everybody kind of worked it out that actually we have supporters, we got fans.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that kind of goes the same for the interview, because obviously we came up with some questions and stuff in advance, but we weren't conducting that interview to get, like Ben said, like bombshells or anything. We just wanted to get to know our head coach a bit more. And he was very kind enough to allow us to have that time, and now we do. People will know about his footballing career and where that started. And because I mean, some people may well think that he just came into management and that was kind of the first time Dario Vidosic popped up anywhere. When actually, he obviously did play in the Bundesliga, and we didn't actually get round to talking about Australia, but he did get 23 caps for Australia and stuff like that. So even though he's still a very young manager, you get the sense that he was already, and I think he did actually say at one of his previous clubs when he was nearing the end of his career, he had an eye on coaching already. So he was already starting to look at more that side. And I think he said one of the clubs he was maybe going to be more like a player coach than just solely a player. So yeah, I just think it's great to just find out some more information about him. We're not fishing for anything, controversial or anything. We just want to have a chat, get to know our manager, and he was lovely enough to do that. And I think that's where, an organization like Shegulls, can come in and fill that gap between, club media, where it can be to sort of serve a purpose a lot of the time to advertise something or, to whatever it may be for a press release and stuff. But then equally, you've got journalists who their main thing is they do want to get something out of you. They do want something out of that exchange that they can go and print in a paper or put online. So yeah, I'm so glad that he gave us that time, and hopefully in the future it won't be for an hour. I promise, Dario, if you're listening, it won't be for an hour again. But if he was willing to come on again in the future and just give us 5 or 10 minutes, that would be fantastic. And hopefully, that's a relationship we've fostered. So yeah, it was fantastic. And thank you guys for your input and for helping with the questions and everything. And it was very kind of you to let me carry on as long as I did. So there we go.
I think that was kind of his decision, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah, I think so. And it did go in a relatively linear fashion, I would say. We started off, didn't we, with last season. Then we kind of started way back when, and then we brought it around, hopefully, to a conclusion on next year, and some positive words for us over the off season. So good to go into the summer break with that in mind. So that's going to bring to a close episode 100. We will be back very soon with episode 101, where we will cover a bit more of the news. We've had international games. A few players that were out of contract have left, so we wanted to give them the kind of breathing space and discussion time that they deserve. So rather than kind of bring it into this episode, we decided to keep that separate. Also hoping to have a couple more interviews. We couldn't kind of get them organized for episode 100, but perhaps they'll happen, in the next sort of 3 to 4 episodes if we can manage it, with other people involved with Brighton or former players and stuff. So
I don't think they would have fit in this episode anyway, would they?
They would not have. No. That it was more back when I didn't know about Dario, or I assumed we would only get him for like 10 minutes. So it was a happy accident, and it worked out well in the end.
Yeah.
So again,
but it'll be nice to have some more voices, just for like you say, the summer period where there's not much to talk about because there's no football. We can fill the gap.
Yeah, absolutely. And we did our Shegulls interviews was last season, so hopefully we can get that going again. And yeah, if we can get some actual, it was great to have those that participated, and I'd love to have people like that again, or those people again. But also if we can get some actual kind of people related to Brighton or ex-players or whoever it may be, then the more the better. We can kind of get their stories, and it should all just help us become bigger and better fans as we trundle down the road towards September and the new season. Who knows, maybe we can even try and persuade a new signing to come on. You never know. Pigs might fly, but
first, but
we do need to get one. That's part one of that issue. So there we go. That's going to round off episode 100. Remember, you can find us at Shegulls on X or Twitter, and of course Instagram, run by a friend of the podcast, Steve Gibbs. I nearly swore then. There's a Freudian slip. I'm leaving that in.
Listen.
I'm leaving that in. Big shout out to Steve. He's been doing the Instagram pretty much, I think, again from day one. So over 2 years of service, Steve. Thank you very, very much for that. Works full time as well, doing a very important job. So bless his heart. Does great on the Instagram. You can obviously find us at shegulls.com, where there are links to all our other areas of interest. We're also on Facebook, and you should just be able to search Shegulls Podcast and we'll come up on there. Whilst you're there, do give Brighton Women fans a follow too for your more sort of general Albion chat. We'll give a shout out to our Patreon members, Jess, Ben, and Angie. Thank you so much, as always. And I shall add Joe Davis, and Tim into that as well. We could not do this podcast without you, very, very literally, and particularly monetarily. So thank you very much for that. For that, you guys are awesome, and thanks for being great. Part of the community, but yeah, helping us out at the same time. It means a lot to us. So all that remains for me to say is, as always, a massive thank you to you, Ben.
Well, thank you all.
An enormous thank you to you, Claire.
Thank you.
And a gigantic thank you to you, Abby.
Thank you.
And for the last time, powered by Albion Obsessed, this has been the Shegulls podcast.